Welcome to another video by VA Music Ministry. I'm the founder and president, Vincent. I want to come to you with another minister music teaching video. And what I want to do on this video is talk about the disconnect between the church and the musician. We're not really going to dig into scriptures and anything like that, but I want to kind of just talk from a standpoint from a musician. And also, I'm a pastor of a church, so kind of talk from a standpoint of being a pastor as well. There is a disconnect, not in all churches, but in a lot of churches, there's a disconnect between the musician and the church. And what I mean by that, the staff or anybody that's over the music ministry, or it could be the pastor, it could be the deacons, but a lot of times there can be a disconnect. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times in churches, you'll find either one end of the spectrum or the other end of the spectrum, which is not a good thing. You kind of want to be balanced in your ministry. So let me just kind of give you what I'm talking about. I realize that you will have churches that will take advantage of musicians that are good musicians, and they'll pay them, you know, whatever the X amount of dollars. Well, let's just say they'll pay them $100, and they're really worth about $400 a Sunday, which is fine. If you don't have the money to pay them $400 or $500 a Sunday, they want to play there for $100, they want to play there for $50, they want to play there for $150. That's fine. But if you know you have the means to really take care of a musician that puts in a lot of work, that is able to play beyond measure and is able to play in every single key and really do exactly what your ministry needs, and you know you can pay them $400 or $500 a Sunday, but you're giving them $100. But then at the same time, you bringing in concerts with Kirk Franklin, or you bringing in concerts with you know, name it, Fred Heavens, whoever it might be. You're bringing in these big name people, but the person that's there every Sunday, every week, you're giving them $100. But then you're bringing all these big name artists in and you're paying for all this extra stuff. But that person that's faithful and that can play. I ain't talking about a musician that's learning, I'm talking about a musician that can flat out play. And you're giving them just a little bit, $100, $150, whatever the case might be. And what you're doing, you're robbing the musician. But at the same time, I've seen the other end of the spectrum, the musician robbing the church. I've seen musicians being able to play in 2 keys. And the church says, how much are you going to charge for your services? We don't have a musician. $500. You can only play in A flat and C sharp. Or you can play in E flat and B flat, or whatever the case might be. You might be able to play in C and F. You can only play in 2 keys, maybe 1 key. Maybe you're transposing everything. But you want me to pay you $500 and you can't play in all your keys. Or forget not even being able to play in all your keys. Paying you $500, and the only thing you can do is play songs like He's Able. How great is our God? But if I ask you to play Amazing Grace, you lost. That's the musician robbing the church. And so therefore, musicians, you have to know your self-worth. If you're not able to play in every key, and you're not able to, let's say you're not able to play in every key. Let's say you're not really good with new school, but you can play old school, or you can play old school, you can't play new school. I'm going to say, I don't know if you should be getting $700. I don't know if you should be getting $500, in my opinion. This is just an opinion base. But in my opinion, I don't think that we should be asking the church for $500, but I can't really give the church what they need. They want me to play Amazing Grace. Well, we can't do that one. If I'm getting paid $500, I better be able to play Amazing Grace. I better be able to play He's Able. I better be able to play both ends of the spectrum if I'm getting paid $500. Or, you know, throw a number out there, whatever you think is reasonable for a really skilled musician. But then at the same time, we want to make sure that the churches are taking care of the musicians to where we're not giving them $50, but they gave a 10 song concert. You know, at the end of playing, I played at some concerts, and at the end of the concert, I got like $75, and I played like 7 songs. And because I did it out of the kindness of my heart, I wasn't too mad, but still I knew that they was raising way more money than that, and I did feel taken advantage of. I felt like I was taken advantage of. And so you have to understand that there has to be a balance to say, you know what? As a church, we have a great skilled musician. Because we have a great skilled musician, he's worth X amount of dollars. You know, we got to get away from this $75 because when you are so skilled as a musician, a lot of times it's because you put in so much work. You've been able to, you wasn't able to work a 9 to 5 because you put in so much work. You had your tracks, you had your sounds, you had everything together. You had the band on point, and then you walk away with a $75 check or $150 check. Now, if that's what you agreed to, you happy with, that's fine. But know your self-worth. Same thing with musicians. Know your self-worth. Churches, know your self-worth. Know what you're willing to get paid. Know what you're willing to give. So don't be taken advantage of. And I just realized that a lot of churches, there's a disconnect between the musician and the church. And that's really because we're not honest with each other when it comes to playing. We're not honest with each other when it comes to, you know what, hey, I sat down with a church one time and I was like, I don't mind helping out. I know I'm just here for helping out, but I feel like I'm worth a little bit more than this amount of dollars. And church was like, you know what? You were worth way more than that. What you want? And then I named the price and they're like, oh, we thought you was going to go higher. We happy just to give you that price. And I said, thank you, because I was taking time away from my family. I was taking time away from my job and stuff. And I was really trying to learn the music and have the band sounding good. And what ended up happening, I'm like, hold on, I'm worth a little bit more than this. I'm putting in so much time over here to where it took time away from me maybe putting in overtime at the job that I was working or something else. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I couldn't commit to, ministry work because I was putting in so much time in the music ministry. I couldn't do any other ministry work. So I had to realize, I was like, hold on, my self-worth is a little bit more than this. And I talked to the church and we came to a happy medium to where they was like, dude, you're not even robbing us. You giving us a pretty good, deal when you said you just wanted X amount of dollars. And I said, I appreciate that. I said, I'm not here to try to take your money and rob the church and leave the church flat broke. That's not my goal. But I do know my self-worth, and they was happy. I was happy. You have to learn what your self-worth is. So musicians, I hate to tell you, if you're playing in 2 keys or if you can't play new school and old school, I think it would be wrong of you to ask for $500. That's my opinion. Like, you might disagree. That's fine. But I'm just telling you, asking for $500 and you play really good in C sharp, but every other key you struggling in. I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. Or you have to transpose on everything. I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. Ask for 500. And don't get me wrong, you might be putting in some really good work. But be fair to the church if you know that you're not as skilled as a musician that gets paid 500, 700. And like I said, I'm just putting a number on it. You might put a totally different number on it. So just remember, the disconnect between the church and musician is a lot of times is that we are not discussing and communicating what we are really worth. So hopefully that blesses somebody. Hopefully you can go out to your next gig or next ministry setting or next, whatever the case might be, and go there and say, you know what? I'm worth $250. Can I get $250? No, I can't give you $250, but I can give you $200. Okay, we can work with that. Hopefully you're blessed by this video. God bless. I will see you on the next video. I might even do a little plan here soon on one of the videos. So God bless, and I love y'all. Thank you for all the support. See y'all soon.